All right, everybody. I don't know how many we'll get. I know it's a Sunday night on a 3-day weekend, but I do have this recording right now, so I'm gonna get going right away because people will be able to catch up if they are behind it all. So basically, Stacy sent out a Q&A or a frequently asked questions document the other day. I helped her in making that, and it covers just about every facet you're going to have to worry about as far as I can tell. And then obviously we're going to kind of update that as the season goes on, if there's more and more questions that start coming up. But my plan is basically just to show you that FAQ, talk through it a little bit, and then where I hit stuff that we can do on the website, I'll go to the website and show you what it looks like. I've got badminton reporting up, but I also have tennis reporting up. Exact same functionality for everything. The reason I'm going to do some tennis reporting stuff is because there's data in there, so you'll be able to see what it actually looks like with data. So I'm going to start off pulling up this FAQ page, which you should be able to see now over here. Okay. So first thing, just some expectations we'll talk about first. So, does every result need to get entered? So yes, every result for varsity meets need to get entered. Now, what's great about this, and I'm sure I'll have some redundant information as I go on, is this can be, if you'd like, your entire stat system. It's going to track everything for all your players. So I'm sure to a certain extent you're all keeping track of wins and losses for your players anyway. You do not necessarily need another document or another system for that now. So that is a positive. The other thing to think about is that these results do not need to get entered by every coach for each meet. If I am playing somebody only in a duel, only one of us need to enter the results. And we'll talk through this as we go. But basically, if we play each other, there'll be some sort of agreement in place. We'll talk about that. But whoever ends up being the one that enters it, it'll get entered, and then the other coach will get an email to check it and approve it or decline it with a message. And then we get it fixed, and then it's approved, and then it's in both of our stat books. So these things do not need to get double entered, which most likely those lower parts of your lineup results were getting double entered. Each coach was keeping it for their own stat systems. So that's a nice thing, a nice element to it. And I have a direct link with the owner of the company that for badminton reporting / tennis reporting, and he's here to help us with anything we go through. But he says that process of sending the results, coach approves, sends back, it's 96% that there's no issues. They said there once in a while there'll be, they have to contact badminton reporting to get a meet, fixed and everything, but it's pretty high result accuracy in this process of one enters, sends it, and the other approves. So yes, every varsity result should be getting entered. The next question is, what is the timeline expectation? This is obviously a somewhat soft expectation. The key is that they're all entered before state series, but we would like the expectation that they're getting entered within a week of competition, because one of the really nice elements of this is the transparency piece. It will make seeding for tournaments easy. It will make seeding for state series much easier. And from our coaches association standpoint, we've been trying to build up the media. We've been trying to let people follow along with the action as the season progresses. And if we're all following this 1 week timeline, basically anybody that wants to is going to be able to have full access to see what's going on in the Illinois badminton landscape. So we really want that 1 week timeline met. How will this work for state series? So basically for state series, you're still going to have to enter your LOP, but LOP now for us only means coaches' names, participant names, no match history. So hallelujah on that, because that is obviously the worst part of our year for a lot of us, is having to get all of those matches entered. It's way easier to enter it into tennis reporting than it was on the IHSA system. And those results, so basically what's going to happen is badminton reporting is going to create a complex event and add everybody to these events. And once you get the invite for that event, you'll have the same LOP deadline, but all you'll need to do is just check, this is my first singles, this is my second singles, this is my first doubles, this is my second doubles. There will still be a box next to it for state seating, so you can make comments for state seating. But after you check that box, because all of the results are already in, now the match history will just dump right in. And we should have very early access to be able to do all the same things we got with the LOP. There's a feature I'll walk you through later, but there's a feature where you can literally just press a button and boom, a PDF pops up with everybody's match history, just like what the LOPs look like. Now, we can also see better through badminton reporting. We can click through the history. We can know what's going on in our complex well before we get there. But once we're on that Monday of the seating meeting, we're going to have all the same resources we used to have, except for we'll have known a lot more of the results a lot earlier, and also some better features. One of the really nice features I'll show you in a little bit is the compare feature, which makes it obsolete to have to look through sheets to find common opponents or head-to-heads. You could type two kids into the compare feature, boom, pops up common opponents, head-to-heads. So there's some really cool features with that. So yes, for state series, it's not going to auto-seed things. Now, there is an auto-seed feature, which is fantastic because it can give us a pretty good idea of what's going on. But even when this is used for IHSA tennis, that is just a part of the resources. It's still seeded the same way we've always seeded it. So there will be still, the human accountability end of it. Next, will I still need to complete my LOP? Like I said, just putting names in. All right. So through that, in terms of the state series element, are there any questions from anybody before I start moving on to kind of how to enter results and all that? Cool. If anything comes up, just throw it in the chat, or we can do some more Q&A later. So I'm gonna change my sharing situation here and start sharing what it looks like to set up an account. And then we'll get into some of the things you can do within this account. So Allison West from Palatine agreed to let me make hers so that I can kind of show you this process. So we're going to put in coach. Now, there is the ability for fans and players to create accounts. Those accounts will not be free accounts. Our coaches' accounts are free accounts. If a fan or a player would like to create an account, it's like a one-time, do not quote me on the price, I want to say it's $15, but they can create that and get all the same access we can. They can't enter results or anything, but they can see anything that they want to see. They can do that without creating an account. They can just go in as a guest, but then they can't see individual player data. They could see dual meets and the scores at dual meets. And if an event's set up as a bracket meet, they can see the brackets, but they can't click on a kid and see their individual history unless they have the paid account. So our discount code is not going to work for the fan player accounts. So that's something to keep in mind. We don't want to advertise that. We don't want kids, even when I do this, I'm going to shut off my screen for a second because we don't want that to be public information, what that discount code is. But we're going to select the state. We're going to select the school. We're going to type in first name, last name of the coach. We're going to put the team gender is obviously going to be female. They have this in there because of tennis. There's a question about division right here, and it does not matter what you put. I've just been putting IHSA, but it does not matter what you put. I don't think we need to enter an address. We could put in a dummy address if we need to. You'll set up a password and your phone number, and then we're going to go to registration. We're going to agree to these terms. Okay, there's going to be a lot of people that think that they need to pay $35 for this coach account, but you do not. Okay, I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Shame on me for a second because I actually don't have that discount code ready to go, so I'm going to get that really quick. But we'll put in that discount code, and as soon as you do that, it's going to say $0. It's going to switch from $35 to $0. So please don't put it, and you won't have to put a credit card in or anything like that. So please don't do anything like that. Give me 1 second to go and find this. Or if anybody knows the discount code and wants to text it to me, that'd be helpful. Oh no, I got the flyer. Sorry. Here we go. All right, and then I'm doing that off screen, but once you get that code in, you just hit complete registration and continue to set up, and you're good to go. So now I'll start sharing again. Okay, just here we go. All right, so now you're in, you've created your account. Okay, the next area that you want to go to, so this is what it looks like. Okay, the next area that you want to go to is you want to create a roster. Okay, there is a feature that is the lineup feature. Once you've created your roster, all that does is it allows you to preset a lineup. So when you're creating a meet, you can just click on your default like conference singles and you click it and then all your names pop up. So it just speeds up the process of having to type anything in. Okay, but we're gonna go to manage roster. And in this manage roster, there's a few required fields. So I'm going to start putting in a couple of Allison's kids. I'm going to put in this first one. Of course, we've got a long first name here. Okay, but I got that first name in, and then I'm going to slide to, and we'll have them update this later. I do need to put an email in. So for now, I'm just going to put my email in, and that we can update later. But there is a reason that they require this. It's not that you have to use this feature, but a feature that they do have is they have just like using Remind 101 or using any of those other systems out there, you can use badminton reporting to send out emails to your kids, to send out emails to families. So that's a resource that you have available. So I've typed in this first kid. I'm going to hit the plus. I've added the kid. That's it. They're in. Now, a senior at the start of next season is going to be off your roster. A junior is going to be bumped up to a senior. A sophomore is going to be bumped up to a junior. So you will not need to re-enter these kids year to year. You will be able to they'll just carry over. So that's one of the reasons it's not a bad idea to use this to put in their emails, because now you have them stored. And now you can click here to send an individual email to one of these kids, or you can click here to enter parent emails. And then there's send email to all, and there's just options to use this as a communication system. But again, that is just optional, not required. Okay, so that's how you start setting up your roster. Okay, now we're going to go into how to create a meet. So again, only one coach needs to do this. I clarify this in the FAQs, but only one coach needs to do this per meet. So we don't need duplicate meets out there. That's not something we want, because then you'll double up on results. So we're going to go to meets. We're going to go to create meet. Okay. Title for the meet, we're going to keep this real simple and just Glenbard East versus Palatine. And the date, we're going to say it's March 15th. Okay. Obviously we'll delete this one later. Okay. We're not going to click on this as a postseason meet. We're just going to keep it very simple with the titles. Okay. We're going to proceed to step 2. Okay. And this is what it looks like. So, first thing is we're going to want to add the other school. If it's a multi-school event, you can type in all of the schools that are in the meet. So for this one, it's just going to be Palatine. I'm on the Palatine account. So I'm going to type in Glenbard East. And as soon as you start typing, names pop up, schools pop up. So I'm going to click on Glenbard East. Okay, they're in. Here's a cool feature right away that you see. Okay, this click here button to modify the roster. If you start entering results and you recognize that, hey, they gave me a name that's not on their roster, you can put that name on their roster for them. And then they can update it later to add the email and stuff like that. But that's great. So if you're playing somebody that hasn't set up their badminton reporting yet, which would be a shame, but if you were, you can actually put their names in for them and just make sure that these results get posted. It's so important. The system's going to be awesome for us. It's so important that we get bought in as a community, and this is one of the ways that we can kind of help each other get bought in by getting some of these things set up. So they recommend not selecting the other coach as an editor. For whatever reason, if you have both coaches as editors, there seems to be more errors that happen. The exception to this is when I'll start talking about entering results for invites, where I would recommend potentially splitting up the work, and then you could select them as an editor and multiple coaches could be putting in the results. Okay, there's this option for non-varsity results if you wanted to. Nobody really uses those in the tennis world, so I wouldn't expect it to get used in the badminton world. And now we're going to start entering results. So we have these drop downs here, singles and doubles. I'm going to click on the singles, and I am going to put one singles, and Palatine only has one kid right now, so I'm going to click on that one kid. Okay, and then I'm going to go to the opponent, and I am going to click on this athlete as my kid. Okay, we're going to click on whoever the winner was. Okay, say Palatine won. We're going to put the scores in the perspective of the winner. So let's say that it's 11-21, followed by, don't worry about that parenthesis, okay? Followed by 21-5, followed by 21-6. So let's see. Not sure why that first set parenthesis popped up, but I got rid of that. And add, and that's it. Just got to do that for each match, okay? And again, if you have lineup set, you can click on that import lineup and the names will pop up, which makes dual meets go pretty quick. I have them set for myself for my dual rosters or my dual lineups, and I have them set for my my quad lineups. But just speeds up the process a little bit. That's all you got to do. Set meet winner, you don't have to do. Okay. And then at the end, you just go up here, you click on approved and send for approval. And then the other coach would get an email and they would either approve or decline with a message and just say, hey, you got the score backwards. We actually won at 2 singles. You have us losing at 2 singles. Oh, I'll fix that for you. I'll send it again. You approve. We're done. And again, that only happens about 4% of the time that somebody makes a mistake. It's pretty high percentage of accuracy. So that's it. That's creating a dual meet. As far as creating a multi-school event, like I said, you can type in another school right here. Okay. Let's say, since I see Eastman over there, okay, I'll look for Willowbrook. Okay. I start typing it. Maybe I need to type in more here. Okay. Willowbrook. There they are. So I'll click on them. Now they're in too. And now when I'm looking for a singles player, I'll get, all of the Glenbard East. Willowbrook doesn't have anybody in yet, but I would get all the options of Glenbard East and Willowbrook and Palatine. And all you have to do, you don't have to sort through the drop down. You can just start typing the kid's name, and it will limit the drop down to just who has those letters in their name. So real easy to do. I'll get back to the FAQ page in a minute, but my biggest concern is getting in the large invites. When you have a couple hundred matches at a giant invite, that's a lot of work. For a dual meet, these things will take you about 2 minutes at tops. For a large invite, my recommendation would be, if you're willing to just grind out and you're the host, put in all the results. Okay, cool. Otherwise, maybe ask people, would anybody like to volunteer to take the ones? So you'll get 1 singles and 1 doubles and you'll enter those. I'll send out a results packet just like I always would. And then you get the 1s, I'll get the 2s, you get the 3s, you get the 4s. Everybody cool with that? And it would just cut the work in a quarter and turn it into not that heavy of work. But that's kind of my biggest concern, because badminton does have larger scale competitions in terms of pure match volume than tennis. So it's that, dual meets are not going to be a problem. It's going to be easy to get those entered, but those invites, I would recommend having some sort of system to get those things in. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to go over to the tennis reporting website, which is exactly the same, but I can look at some 2025 data here. And let me duplicate this tab and, okay. So I'm just going to go to the home page. Rosters again, so we're just navigating a little bit right now. Rosters again, manage roster lineups. You can do that at any point. Reports, okay? I guess you could look at daily scores to see what happened today as things get entered. Compare is really cool. I'll talk about that. Most wins literally means that. We might have some 10 singles girls up there. That's not something that's all that important. Okay. I really want to note that these ratings are not important. Okay. The tennis/badminton reporting people will be the first ones to tell you that rating, take it with a grain of salt. It is very volume based. So you could be the returning state champion. You only played 5 matches this year, but you beat numbers 2, 3, 4 in the state. It won't matter. You'll be way below them in your ratings just because you don't have enough matches. Nobody really focuses on that in the tennis world, on this ratings page. Where most people are going to go is this results page. So under reports, results. Okay. You can view your school and see, mine's taking a second here to pop up. Oh, because I have 2026 in. So look at this. It's got all the previous years of results, right? Ever since they put in tennis reporting, we've got all of those results. So everything carries year to year. So I'm going to go back to the 2025 season. I can see all my dual meets. I could click into any one of those and see the results. Okay, this is what was going on there. From here, I can click on the kid. Kid pops up. I can start to see their individual results. I could click on export PSR, and now that's going to, or majority report, that's basically going to turn it into a PDF that looks just like the LOP. So I can do that for any kid in the state at any point based on what results have been entered at that point in the season. So that's really nice. Let's say that so I'm going to go back here to this results page. Let's say that I'm about to play somebody. So I'm about to play Glenbard North, and I can click on them, search meets, 2025, and I can see that so far this year, obviously the season's actually done for tennis, but they're 9-7-1 on the season. I could go, oh, we also played Wheaton North. How did they do against Wheaton North? And I can see all of this. I can click on their individual kids, and it's just pure transparent data from across the entire state, what's been going on. So really, really cool what you can do with that. A great feature here that I have pulled up already on another page is if you go to reports and you click on compare. So results and compare are kind of the two best places for some transparent data. So when I go to compare, I've already got one set up right here where I put in one of my doubles teams and I put in one of Glenbard South's doubles teams. And down here, you've got, these two kids over here, they beat us twice in head-to-heads. When I look at common opponents, when we played West Aurora, we lost 6-0, 6-0. They lost 6-0, 7-5. When we played Willowbrook, we lost 6-3, 6-2, and 6-4, 7-5. When they played Willowbrook, they went 8-1. It's pretty obvious here that this Glenbard South team's the better team. So as we get into a seeding meeting kind of situation, or maybe you want to seed your own individual tournament, which maybe you were afraid to do before because that'd be hard. You need coaches to enter Google Forms and stuff like that. It's really easy now, as long as this data has been getting put in throughout the season. So pretty cool stuff that you can do with that. There's an even better version once we get into the complex. So this is what a sectional looks like. And I've talked to badminton reporting. This is how they'll set up our complexes. Here is every kid in this sectional for this tennis sectional. Here's every kid. They've done an auto seed feature. That is not the seeding that we actually necessarily would go with, but they've done that. Next to it, they've got who these girls have a head-to-head with. They've got who these girls have common opponents with. And right here, I've got Glenbard East paired up with another team. And I'm like, nothing to compare here if we were trying to fight for a seed, right? Let's see how we would have done against the returning state champs. That's not good. Okay. Isla, common opponents, they've got us. They're obviously a better team. But it's really cool because now the compare feature is limited to just the kids in your complex. And how easy is it going to be to get a feel of who the best team is in the complex when you have that potential auto seed feature? Just to give you the idea, it's not actually how we're going to seed it, but just to give you the idea, and then you can go in and start doing your homework yourself to see who's better than who. And I think we should have much more data-driven complex meetings rather than maybe we've had in the past where people had a couple hours to look over those LOPs. Now you could kind of be following the scene throughout the entire season. So this is a wonderful tool. This whole site is a wonderful tool that should make a massive difference for us to do what we should be doing, which is, rank these kids appropriately, set up the best matches, have the best state tournament that we can have, and let parents and kids get into this. When I come from the wrestling world, and when we're at a wrestling tournament, everybody knows everybody. Everybody's following their track wrestling profile. Everybody's watching matches on Flow. Everybody's looking at the rankings. Everybody knows everybody. And in badminton, it's like we know a lot of the top kids in the state. Some of the stuff IABC has been doing, we've been able to build it a little bit. This is going to take it to an absolutely new level entirely. So I'm really excited about it. I'm going to go back here to the FAQs and read through that. But is there anything I got ahead of myself? Is there any questions about the stuff I just went over of kind of what the website actually looks like?
I just have a quick question about the lineup. Like, I like the idea that you can have like a preset
Yeah,
lineup to
yeah.
make it quick. And then is it super easy just to kind of swap? Like, if number two is playing number three, does it make it easy to like put in the full lineup and then just do little changes?
Yes. Give me 1 second, Robin. I'm off on the other screen, logging into my account because I have lineup set up and I can show you what that
Mhm.
looks like. Um, Share desktop two. Okay, so this is on my account where I've already set some stuff up. So I go to lineups and I have my conference. I think this is actually my conference singles. I've got my, oh, sorry. I don't know that I'm sharing yet. Share. Here we go. So I'm in my lineups tab. And as I get here, I have a conference lineup. I think it's my conference singles lineup. One thing I don't like is I haven't figured out, I don't think you can rename it. So I called it conference. I'm like, I should call it conference singles, but whatever. So I got my conference singles lineup. It's already preset. I've got my UEC, my conference lineup for doubles set. I've got my invite lineup. I've got my invite doubles lineup. So now as I create a meet, and I'm gonna say GBE or Gombardese. There's no rule of what we need to name it. How you name it isn't really gonna affect anything, but as those daily scores pop up, the name's in there and it just looks nicer if you have a nice name. So I'm playing Willowbrook. Me and Eastman are serious. We're playing on a Sunday. We're crazy. Okay. And I want to import my lineup. So I import my conference singles lineup here, and there it is. And now it looks like it's worse, but it's not. I just click on these NAs and I'll be able to start typing in Eastman's kids and we'll be good. And if I wanted to make any changes on my kids, I could. That might be a pain, Robin, if you were like, well, I guess if your lineup's changing, one thing you could do is you could just go in here and change the flight number to rearrange it. It doesn't have to go in flight order. So that's one thing you do. But if your lineup was changing, I think what I would recommend is either changing it in the lineup tab, or if it's a one-time thing, maybe just manually entering it. But it's not like it's hard. It's not like it's concrete when you import that lineup. You can obviously still play around with it. Other questions there? Or more, Robin?
Oh,
Cool.
that's good. Thank you.
Of course. All right. So now I'm going to go back to that FAQ page. Let me see if there's any other. Yeah, Eastman, I agree. I think that the automated seeding, I mean, it's based on head-to-head and common opponents, which is how we seed anyway. So I think it's going to be really strong. I don't think it's going to be way off of how we're going to actually end up seeding. Okay. All right. So now I'm going to go back to this FAQ page. A lot of this is already going to be covered by what I've talked about, but let's just establish some stuff. So what's the easiest place to go for statewide results? I told you that's that reports tab, and the results tab inside the reports tab is where you're going to get your best ability to see things during the season. How can I get support? Okay, this email is great. BD, they can't have badminton in the name because admin's in the name, so you can't set up a Gmail with badminton in there. So it's bdmnreporting@gmail.com. They're really good. They get back to you. One thing I'll talk about a little bit in a few minutes about the about tournaments is there's not a way I've seen that, and I talked to them, and there's not really a way. I shouldn't just say, I haven't found it yet. There's not a way to set up brackets, but they can. So if you look at some of the tennis results, like the state series and sectionals and stuff for tennis reporting does have some bracketed tournaments that they'll make for you. So I know they're going to do that for us for state series. It doesn't hurt if you're like, I'm running a pretty simple format tournament. I'll reach out to them to see if they'd be willing to do that for me, where then I could be running that tournament and people can be following it live on badmintonreporting.com. But that's not a great feature. This is much better for after meet results than using it to run a tournament. Now, state series, I think it'll be great for that because some sectionals still aren't reporting all their results. Now you get them all. So it'll be better. All right, so yeah, that's great. They're great for supporting you, that email. I am a tennis coach and a badminton coach, and I've got a direct link to them too, so I'll be able to answer a lot of questions for you guys if you have them. Honestly, the tennis coaches in your building would be able to help you. This is used by everybody in the tennis community. The reporting percentage is extremely high. I don't play anybody all year that isn't putting in their results, which is really nice. So you have some good resources out there in tennis coaches too. Okay. Again, you don't have an account already. You need to set up an account. So use an email you'll be having access to whenever you're approving meets or getting invited to the sectional complex or anything like that. That's all going to go to your email, not just your tennis reporting account. So use an email that you'll see that helps me stay on top of things. I don't ever like, oh God, I forgot to check badmintonreporting.com or tennisreporting.com. The emails are keeping me honest. They're helping me to remember I've got to approve things and stuff like that. I already said division, doesn't matter what you put. So I've just been putting IHSA. Create your roster right after you register. That's kind of the most important thing to do now. It is front loaded that you're gonna have to put in all that the rosters now. I'll be honest with you, for tennis, I don't put kids on until they're gonna play a varsity match. I guess if I was using this for my communication and keeping track, like if you look at that roster, you can keep track of whether they paid their fees or did their physical and stuff. If I was using it for that purpose, I'd probably have every kid in my program. But honestly, I just put my varsity kids in. So you probably have like 10 to 15 kids you got to enter. It's not that bad. Lineup features totally optional, but helpful. Responsibility for dual meets. What I've suggested in the FAQs is have the winning coach enter it. They're usually a little bit more urgent to get those results in. So I would recommend just before a duel, that's what we typically do in tennis. Hey, whoever wins, want to enter it. Sometimes coaches will say, hey, I'm home, I'll enter it. That's fine. Some coaches enter it as the duel's going on. Tennis is a pretty chill thing. It moves slow. Badminton moves a little bit faster, so it might be harder to get those entered live. But whoever wins, that's a pretty simple agreement. Multi-school meets, like I said, I think it's the host's responsibility to organize this, but I would recommend splitting up the work. I just think, 200 for me, for my conference tournament for tennis, takes me a little while to put those in. Not a crazy amount, but a little while. But that's like 50 matches. I host a tournament with close to 200 matches. That would take a couple hours. So splitting that work up, I think would be really helpful, because a lot of times the biggest results of the season happen at those invites, and we don't want that to be where people are dropping the ball. If your multi-school event is like a quad or a tri, I would recommend just handling that like individual duels. For each individual duel within the tri or quad, I would recommend just winning school enters it or have a prearranged agreement. A lot of times in tennis, I just tell people I don't mind entering it. I'll do it because I'm OCD like that I need it to get entered. So I always just volunteer. But yeah, for a dual or a quad, or sorry, for a try or a quad, I'd recommend that. Really, it's the pool play kind of tournaments, the round robin stuff. That's the stuff where you're gonna have a lot of matches that need to get entered. Um, how do I submit results? I showed you that already. You create the meet. Once you send the meet for approval and it's approved, then the results are live. Should I start creating meets for my whole schedule ahead of time? Absolutely not. I've got that question from a few people. I would not do that. It takes 2 seconds to set up a meet. Just do that when you're going to enter the results. The reason I would say don't do it is because you don't know who's going to enter the results from that meet. So wait until you decide that day who's going to enter it, and then you saw me enter it. It takes 2 seconds to create the meet. So no need to create those ahead of time. I think that's going to lead to some duplicate results. Let's not do that. Can multiple coaches edit the same meet? Again, I would not recommend that for duels, but for multi-school events that are going to have a ton of matches, if you agree that you're going to split it up like 4 ways, make those 4 coaches editors, and they'll all be able to view the meet, click on the meet, which is something I'll show you before I'm done because I haven't showed that. Maybe I can click that real quick. If I slide this over here, I think you'll be able to see it. If I go to view existing meets, I'll find, there's my Willowbrook. I've created a few just for fun. There's the Palatine that Allison's account entered. You see it's on my account already. I can see those. I can click into those. So that's how I can view those. And somebody else made it, like that Palatine one. Allison made that, but I would be able to click in, and if she set me as an editor, I would be able to start entering results as well. So that's how you would do that. Can our players or fans see it? Like I said, I would recommend promoting the site. That's great. Promote it. They can see school results and stuff. They just can't see individuals. And it's a one-time fee to set up that fan or parent account or kid account. And I think there'll be people out there that do it. I get a lot of emails on my rankings from parents. I'm like, I'm not listening to what you have to say. Sorry, I'll reach out to your coach if you think I'm missing a result. But they want to follow it. And honestly, parents follow track wrestling as much as the kids do for wrestling. So, promote it, give your families an option. To be able to follow the sport better, make better fans. Like, I was talking to Stacy last year at state. How do we get more people out to that state tournament? If you've been following the season all year and you know these names and you're like, oh my God, there was an upset at sectionals, you're more likely to become a fan and want to go and want to see these things play out. I see kids that are amazing on track wrestling. I'm seeing all these results and I'm like, I want to see that kid in person, so promote it. Can we use badminton reporting to run invites? Like I said, you can reach out to them to ask them to set up brackets, but there is no way on our accounts to set up brackets or set up invites besides just entering the results. Will these results be saved for future years? Yes. Once it goes into badminton reporting, it's there forever. You'll be able to click on in the future. You'll be able to track your historical records and all that. It'll be awesome. So that data does carry over. Player data carries over as well. Like I said, you can carry over their email, their parents' emails. Their grade will roll over to the next year, and they'll still be on your roster, so you won't have to enter them every year. And you can when you click on the kid, within the individual kid, you can select multiple years to see how they played as a sophomore versus a junior versus a senior. It keeps all of that. Why do we need to enter player emails? Like I said, for that communication feature. It's not required, but badminton reporting / tennis reporting, they really want people to know that feature is an option. So they require the emails to get entered. There's just no way around it. What is TRPR?
Hey Scott, I tried to create a player without an email and it said email required.
Yeah, you have to. Now they even told me, they're like, if you really don't want your kids' emails on there, you can put a dummy email. It's just, they're just tracking that the field got filled. So the kids aren't going to get an email unless you send it. You can click on them and email, but they make it a required field, but you don't have to use the functionality of the field, if that makes sense. TRPR, that's that ratings tab. So in here, ratings, Obviously, no matches exist yet, so there's no ratings. But like I said, that rating is not reliable. Do not go into a seating meeting and be like, "Well, my TRPR." That it doesn't mean anything. It's very volume based and it's not reliable. So don't worry about that. How will badminton reporting help with seating for state series? This is what I already talked about. I'm gonna start closing this out here. This sharing. That's what I already talked about. It's going to provide us all the same resources that we've always had, except for more. Like you could literally just click on the print reports tab from your complex. You have your LOP. If you want to print that out and go through it and highlight things, be my guest. But with that compare feature, with the auto seating, just to give us an idea of where people stand and all that, it is just going to expedite the process insanely. So that is, we will still meet as a state seating committee after sectionals. We will still talk it out and go through the results and make sure that we're being fair and all that. But this will make everything we do more efficient. I am very confident that we're going to get more results now. We're going to get more reliable results. I've been sitting on I've been in complex meetings like all of you, and I've seen schools ask for seeds with nothing on their match history. And I've been in the state seating situation, and I've got one school looking at when we're seating for the seating for the state series, or state tournament. I've seen one school has themselves marked as the winner, the other school has themselves marked as the winner for the same match. That won't happen here. So we're going to get more accountability. We're going to get more accuracy. We're going to get more volume of results. We're going to get more media for people to follow. My rankings for IABC are going to be super easy to do. It's just, it is a game-changing thing for us. And we're late to the game, guys. Golf has something like this. Tennis, we are stealing their system, which credit to Stacy. I haven't given her enough credit for this yet, but Stacy, we've been asking for it on the advisory board for a couple years. She got it done. She got the tennis reporting to make a brand new website just for us. You look at this, nobody else has this. This is Illinois. That's it. There's no other state you can select. So it's awesome. Baseball and softball have Game Changer. Track has their own thing. These sports, we're late to the game in doing this, but it's going to be game changing for us and bring us to a new era, I think. Any questions from anybody?
I have one.
Yes,
You mentioned how, in the past we've seen coaches not enter an LOP at all for sectionals, or maybe just a couple matches, not all of them. So let's say I'm playing a school. I submit, the results and everything. The coach does not approve it of the opposing school. Does that mean that data doesn't get in the tracker for the results?
As far as I am aware, eventually it just goes through. And honestly, I'm not positive that it doesn't go through. I mean, I'm talking on my experience, not necessarily this is the rule. I'm pretty sure it goes through as soon as you enter it. And then the approval process is there to kind of cut it off afterwards to be like, no, let's go back and fix this. But I think it goes live pretty quick. I don't think it actually has to go through the full approval to become live. That's just the accountability, so somebody can't post it and then it's stuck there. Once I hit decline, then it won't be live again. So like I said, it's not going to be possible. It takes two coaches to omit a result, right? Like it takes a common, neither one of us want to enter this for that result not to get entered. And that's a problem. That shouldn't be happening. But me and Stacy have been talking about how important it is to get buy-in. And I was like, honestly, if we get about 2/3 buy-in, this thing's going to cover itself. And honestly, in the tennis community, everybody's doing this. And I can't see why our community wouldn't be able to do the same. Only thing that makes us different is those multi-school weekend events, that those are going to be big entries. So we got to step up and get those done. But like I said, sharing the workload, I think, is the way that we can combat that challenge. And it's not like we're all hosting 5 tournaments. Okay, there's a few, but most of us are doing 1 or 2 a year. So it's, that might be a rough day if you can't find help for it. But have managers, have have some people that can help you out too. Any other questions? All right, awesome. You know, I'm a resource for you. You've got that resource or that support email. You know, let's get through this together. This first year will be hard. It's a transition. But honestly, the first year I was coaching tennis, and I'm pretty techie, so it wasn't, you know, like I was scared of it. But it took me a week to understand this. Like by the second meet that I was entering results or receiving meets to approve, I was like, yeah, this is easy. If you can navigate through the stupid IHSA match history situation, you can enter on tennis reporting or badminton reporting. All right. Well, thank you guys for being here. Send me questions if you have it. If you're watching this later on YouTube, you know, feel free to email me. And you know, let's just support each other through this. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.